Hello, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and please check out my channel for other updates about Zeeworld. So the last update about Twist of Fate. Prachi is adamant to tell Ranbir the truth about her pregnancy. And Prachi also disgraced Rhea for thinking that Ranbir loves her. Then Shahana wanted to tell Ranbir the truth about Prachi's pregnancy, but Prachi stopped Shahana. Let's continue. Prachi comes to Grandma's room and sees Grandma and Shahana arguing, and she asks that what is going on here and says, I thought you are upset. Grandma says Shahana was worried and I have solved her problem. She says I told her that I have brought clothes for you both, and Shahana got happy. Grandma gives clothes to Prachi and Shahana and says Sundari and Mundari shall wear these on Lordhi festival. Prachi says it is really good. Pallavi comes to Vikram and asks why is he behaving differently. Vikram looks at her and says, can't we celebrate the festival without any fight? She says, are we fighting? Vikram says, I was going and you asked me and gave me a sarcastic reply. Pallavi says, no. He asks, what did I do? Pallavi says, you are asking me what you have done, and asks, why did you bless Prachi in the morning? He says, I knew that you will raise an issue on this topic. Pallavi says, Prachi is not the daughter-in-law of the house, but Rhea is the daughter-in-law. Vikram says she bent down to seek my blessings, and my aunt touched her head to bless her automatically. He asks, what would I have done? Pallavi says, come on, even then, you shouldn't have blessed Prachi. Rhea felt very bad. Vikram says, even I see so much wrong happening in the house, but I don't say. I won't be quiet anymore. Pallavi asks, what do you want to say? Vikram says, if one person doesn't do their duty, then the other person shall do it. Pallavi says, I will not let any injustice happen with Rhea. I was standing with her and I will always stand with her. Vikram says, again, Rhea, I am talking about Prachi. He says you have supported Rhea when she spiked Prachi's drink and took her signatures by betrayal. He says you knew it and supported Rhea. He says, I am not yet done. Grandma comes there. Vikram says, when I am talking, you should hear. He says the matter is about this house and says that injustice has happened with Prachi and not with Rhea, and this all happened in front of you. They see Grandma standing there. Pallavi goes. Vikram tells Grandma that they had a fight. Grandma says few things shall be between husband and wife. Vikram says Rhea's mother-in-law doesn't like what Prachi's grandmother-in-law had said and left. Grandma hugs him and says now you understood that Prachi is not bad. Vikram says Prachi was never bad, but we got late to see it. Shahana gets ready to celebrate Lordhi festival and comes to Prachi. She asks why she did not get ready yet and talks about childhood. Shahana asks why are you taking time to select the dress and says Grandma has given you a dress. Prachi says Ranbir doesn't like that color. She asks her to go. Shahana says I can understand the change color on your face. Prachi says we shall make a new start on the festival. Prachi says she thought to be happy for her baby and she will start from this day. Shahana says you said right. Prachi asks her to make sure that she is happy. Shahana says I know how to keep you happy and says you both will be happy after today, I promise. She hugs her. Aliyah comes to Rhea and says when I see you, I feel like I am seeing myself. Rhea asks really? Aliyah says you are smart, focused, obsessed and you love yourself like me. Rhea says I love Ranbir. Aliyah says of course. Everyone knows that nobody can love Ranbir more than you. You feel secure with him. Rhea says, I feel my victory with him. He is my destination and life partner. When he is with me, I feel like finally I have snatched Ranbir from Prachi and took my revenge. Aliyah says you want to get Ranbir as you love him. Rhea says I love him so much, but I get happiness to aid Prachi more than I love Ranbir. Rhea says when I have taken revenge from Prachi, I feel like I am answering her mother. She says nobody can understand my feelings, but I am that bird who wants to make the other bird fall down. She says Prachi has snatched all my happiness from me, but the curse is still attached with me. Rhea says Dad raised hand on me. She says I love Mom, Dad and Ranbir and Prachi snatched them away from me. She says my hatred for Prachi is more than loving Ranbir. Pallavi comes there. Rhea says that her revenge is done and says she will love Ranbir until Prachi has feelings for Ranbir and until she shows her right on him. Rhea says I will love Ranbir the more Prachi shows her right on him. She says I want to see Prachi alone and the beginning is done. Nobody loves her here. She says that she loves Ranbir more, knowing that he ignores Prachi. Aliyah says Prachi can do anything and says the old love and the disease stays for longer. Rhea asks her not to worry and says I am winning. Pallavi is shocked to hear her intentions. Rhea asks her to come and see the guest. Grandma and Shahana greet each other with a hug. Ranbir comes there. Grandma asks Shahana to see him. Shahana smiles seeing him. Ranbir wishes them happy Lordhi. Shahana says you will not give me compliment, so I shall give you compliment. Ranbir does poetry and tells Grandma that Shahana is the only girl who used to praise him a lot. Shahana says you are good. She asks Grandma why Ranbir loves Prachi, with whom he never get along in the college. Grandma says about opposite attract. Jai comes there and tells Ranbir that Shahana is looking good in the Punjabi dress. Ranbir asks about Palak and him. Jai says he has broke up with her and now he is focused on work. Ranbir asks Jai, do you like it? Jai asks, why are you asking me? Ranbir thinks that Shahana is pregnant. Jai asks, why are you asking? Ranbir says you will look good with Shahana. Grandma asks, where is Prachi? Shahana says that the dress given by you was having some problem as it was not Ranbir's favorite color, so Prachi wanted to wear Ranbir's favorite color. Grandma says it is a good news. They go to have sweet. Rhea hears them and thinks that Prachi will not become his favorite. Aliyah signals to Pallavi to come and talk to her. Pallavi is attending to the guest. Prachi collides with Rhea. Rhea says sorry and asks if you are hot. Prachi keeps her hand on her tummy. Rhea says to Prachi that you haven't learnt mannerism. Prachi says happy Lordhi. Rhea says sweet gesture and says your simplicity will not have any effect on me. Prachi says do whatever you want, but I will not fight. Rhea holds her hand. Prachi says don't do this. Rhea says it seems like poison is falling from your eyes and asks will you kill me with your eyes? Prachi says I didn't say that I will bear your misbehavior and says your first Lordhi will become last. Rhea says I am really scared. Prachi says I have promised someone that I will not fight with anyone. Rhea asks whom have you promised? She says if you tease me, then I will tease you. Prachi asks what do you mean? Rhea says you have worn Ranbir's favorite color's clothes. Prachi says I am going. Rhea asks until when will you fight with your destiny and go? Rhea says to Prachi that you have parents who are not with you. You have a husband who is not yours. No parent, no husband, and no family. She says you have a sister who is nothing less than an enemy. She says you are alone. Nobody is with you. You are the most unluckiest woman of the world. Then also you want to be happy. She says Ranbir's house is mine, his family is mine, and Ranbir himself is mine. Rhea says Ranbir is mine and he would always be mine. She says the fate was mine and will always be mine. Rhea tells Prachi that Ranbir was ours and will always be ours and says the fate was mine and will always be mine. She says this red powder on your forehead is your illusion and asks if the cinder and the wedding necklace is made one by her husband. Rhea asks Prachi to see Ranbir and her looking round around the lorry and advises her to be happy in her happiness and she goes. Prachi owes her wedding necklace and gets sad. Jai tells Ranbir that he is getting bored, although the lorry celebration is good, and says the enthusiasm shall be high. Ranbir takes Jai to Shahana and they hear Shahana talking about celebrating the lorry in Oshampur. She boasts about herself and says that they had a high lorry. Jai says it must be due to you. Shahana says that the lorry seems to be dull. Ranbir excuses himself. Jai compliments her. Shahana says I have some work and goes. Ranbir is going, and just then Prachi's hair paranda hits his eye. She looks at him and blows on her dupatta and keeps it on his eye. A song plays in the background. Rhea looks at them and gets angry. Ranbir signals to Prachi that his eyes is fine and thanks her. Prachi says no need of thanks. You freed me from the jail. I have helped you a bit. Now scores are settled. Ranbir holds Prachi's hand and says your memory is sharp, but the scores are weak. He says I left my flight to bail you out and even fought with my family. He says you feel that the score is settled by your move. Prachi says leave my hand. Ranbir says you have left my hand already and talks about grandma's sayings. Ranbir says you will not understand as you don't have the heart. A song plays in the background. Rhea goes to Prachi and takes her to his side. She asks what are you doing? Prachi asks what is it? Rhea says you were eyeing someone else's husband and staring at him. Didn't you feel ashamed? Prachi asks where did your confidence go? Rhea says I am not insecure but you are insecure. She says you are doing this dirty trick as it did not fill your forehead with cinder. Prachi says I don't want to answer you and gives you importance. Rhea says I am not yet done. Prachi says I can fight with you but not with your bad thinking. Prachi says to Rhea that think whatever you want to and says whatever we think happens and asks her not to pull her next time, else she will slap her to teach her some manners and etiquette. She says, I have decided to be happy and nobody can stop me, not even you. She says, happy Lori, and goes. Aliyah says Rhea. Jai is going behind Shahana and recalls Ranbir's words. Shahana collides with someone. Jai asks Shahana if she is fine. Shahana says yes. She asks what is going on, seeing him following her. Jai says nothing. Shahana asks, why are you nervous? Jai says I will come and tries to leave. Shahana says I like the guy who works with me and not those guys who work behind me to be my lover boy. Jai thinks that he likes Shahana. Aliyah comes to Pallavi and takes her to his side. She asks her to be honest with her and asks, whom do you want for Ranbir as his wife? Pallavi says, of course, Rhea. Aliyah says, I am asking about Ranbir's wife and not your daughter-in-law. Pallavi says it is of course Rhea. Aliyah tells Pallavi that she can see Prachi and Ranbir's union and says that they are fighting and talking and she has a feeling that they will reunite and says there was communication gap between them before, but now they are talking. Aliyah says their misunderstandings will be cleared if they continue to talk and asks Pallavi to do something so that Ranbir goes to Rhea and not to Prachi. She says only you can do this. Vikram is talking to the dog guys and asks them to come fast. Ranbir asks what happened. Vikram says that the dog guys haven't reached and there is still time for puja. Shahana says we can make the guests play game. Ranbir says musical chair and says we can play other games too. Vikram says the guests shall enjoy. Ranbir asks Shahana to come and he tells everyone that he wants to make an important announcement. Ranbir greets everyone happy Lori and says we cannot do the puja as there is still time for it and we are waiting for the dog guys as well. So till then we will play musical chairs. He says just as the music stops, you have to sit and whoever couldn't sit is out of the game. He says the winner gets a chance to. Rhea shouted and says the chance to argue. Ranbir says okay, of course. He says let's start the music. Vikram says I will play the music. Jai says I will monitor to see nobody cheat. Rhea tells Prachi that she has asked her to go to the room and asks her to stay back and see Ranbir and her hugging each other. Prachi says you made a game as competition on festival day. Rhea says my happiness cannot be complete until I see you angry and says before 7 rounds, seeing our movie. She goes. Shahana comes to Prachi and says Rhea shall not win. Prachi says she doesn't want to make it as a competition. Grandma comes there and asks Prachi to think about the respect and says she shall not let Rhea win. Prachi says I will defeat Rhea in any circumstances and I will win. Shahana says when Ranbir hugs you, then this Rhea's face will be burnt with anger. Grandma says we are with you, Prachi. Rhea tells Pallavi and Aliyah that she wants to win at any cost. Pallavi says we are with you. Aliyah says you will win and she will lose. They walk towards the musical chair. Jai tells Ranbir that it seems like there is some competition. Ranbir says they have made small game as World War. Jai asks the participants not to make any excuses later. Prachi, Rhea, Ranbir and others sit on the bed. Jai says there will be no chairs now. Ranbir keeps his hand on Prachi's hand accidentally while sitting on the chair. Prachi takes back her hand. Aliyah looks at them. Thank you for watching my videos. Please don't forget to like my videos, share them and please subscribe to my channel for more updates. Thank you.